Murphy present, Bob Lilac,
Present.
Mindy Reynolds,
Present?
Steve Lauren,
Present.
Tim Beers. We have a quorum. I call the meeting to order. Will you kindly stand and join me while we honor our country and state flags? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor
I
the Texas flag.
pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Everyone, moving on to item number 3. Any comments, general public sign up? Nobody at all. Okay, any consideration for adjustments? Nothing at all. All right. Moving on to consent agenda. Does any director have an item they'd like to have removed from the consent agenda?
Just a question on page 8. We have negative tax receivable. What is that?
That's the,
Always like to nail you on
Purpose
it.
Fund, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the maintenance tax from the month before, and the reason it's negative is because it's paid from, there's not a debt service portion for a component anymore.
So it sounds like we owe some money.
And it will be paid this week.
Okay.
It's always rolls forward from the month before,
Okay.
the collections the month before.
Anything else?
No, I move that we accept the consent agenda.
I do have a second.
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item, the regular agenda, item 11, receive the regular monthly SJRA report. Chris, good morning.
Good morning. Our report's on pages 20 to 39 in your packet. Just a couple things to bring up. One is on page 21. We had a lot of well rehabs that were done last month, continuing to this month. So when you look at the water loss in the middle of it, you can see 5 million gallons for flushing. As you rehab the wells, you have to do a lot of chlorination and flushing when you're redeveloping the well. And so those numbers are high because of the 3 well rehab. The other thing I did want to do is I do have staff back here. Some of them you've seen before. You know Aaron, you know Jason, but I did want to point out this is Malia Good. Raise your hand. Don't confuse you with Aaron. But she is the Utility Enterprise Administrative Manager. And so she started about 2 months ago. Then we have Jacob Everett. He's the Maintenance Manager. He's been with us for 15 years, 15 and a half years. So these are the people, including Aaron, who behind the scenes do everything for the project plan, make everything happen day to day. So trying to get them more involved in my director type stuff. So
Thank you. Welcome.
that's all I had, unless you have any questions on the report.
A question on page 32. Says annual groundwater data averaging. I'm trying to figure out what the pink in the middle of the blue represents.
The pink in the middle of blue is a color issue. That whole line is actually blue.
It's up top there.
That answered that.
There you go. That's an easy question. Anything else?
It's
Gonna be a good day.
Yeah, I'm seeing it over here too.
Yeah.
About the same altitude.
All right, any other questions for Chris? All right, moving on to item 12. I received a presentation on the 10-year plan.
So I guess I'll cover that one too. So a couple things with this. I'll start with kind of move to page 3. It's going to be up here. I'm going to make this kind of brief and leave a lot of time for questions. The main thing with the project plan this year is that, as y'all know, there's a lot of major studies underway to determine the path forward on the project plan. For that reason, the project plan itself has not really changed. We did knock off 25. We did add on additional year since it is a 10-year plan. The cost did go up a little bit because of additional inflation and adding that additional year. But overall, the project plan is still what you saw last year. And then at the trustees meeting, we gave a good presentation, went through it in a lot of detail and everything. So to respect everybody's time, I'm not going to repeat everything that was said there, but I just want to direct y'all to watch the trustees video. High level, but if there's any questions that any of y'all have, I'll be happy to go through any part of the presentation of the project plan with you.
Did you have any questions at the trustees meeting?
A lot, but
Yeah.
you can watch the video if you want to see it in detail.
Yeah.
Anything else? Any comments? All right, then, moving on, to item 13, receive update on the Spring Creek detention study.
Just a quick update there. There'll be, the next town hall meeting for the update on that project as they complete their analysis will be, next Monday, the 21st. That'll be in Waller, where it was held a couple of years ago. And then the week after on the 28th, they'll be at the township to give, another version of that, proposal, kind of like they did last year.
And people can see it on, it's not going to be online, it'll be afterwards.
I believe so, yeah. I don't believe it'll be live. Because they've kind of, what they did at the township is kind of set up a walkthrough where you can walk through, ask questions, see kind of pictures of stuff. And then they'll have last time they had a presentation, it was about 25, 30-minute presentation. They did a couple rounds of it as people came and went. I expect they'll do something similar.
Do you have any questions on that? Any comments? Okay, moving on then to item 14, attorney's report.
Yes, sir.
Morning, sir.
Mainly focused on legislature right now, so went through a fairly, detailed rundown at the trustee meeting last week. A lot of bills we're tracking. There have been about 10, it's hard to believe they can continue to compound at about, 10% per session of number of bills that they introduce from the length of the session doesn't change. So I think they're over 9,000 bills for a 5-month session this time. So there's a lot out there, a lot that we're tracking. A few hearings we brought to Eric's attention so far. Looks like the House did finally pass the budget earlier this week. There's been some scuttlebutt about maybe some of the Democrats in the House skipping town to try to avoid the passage of other legislation. That's happened before. We'll see if that happens again this time. So it's more of the same. And of course, when we get to the end of the session, which finishes up at the end of May, in June or July, we always have a comprehensive legislative summary of all the bills that pass that are of interest to our district clients, as well as that didn't pass that, you see, kind of get a flavor of what all's out there. But happy to answer questions if you have them.
So out of 9,000, how many are probably going to have this?
That's hard to say. Our lobbyists are probably tracking, they're probably tracking around 1,000. And some of it, well, there's different phases of the life cycle of the district. So where the Woodlands is, there's a lot of bills in terms of creations and, initial elections, some of the early stage of development items that we're tracking for other district clients for different phases of their life cycle than what the Woodlands is. But there's still a fair number that, could impact the Woodlands. And we've talked about those, qualifications to serve as a director, obligations to go and identify all your lines out throughout the community, which would be very expensive. There's a number that we're tracking, and some of them there's about a 85% kill rate. What I say each session, only about 15% of bills each session pass, and that could go down as more bills get introduced. So I always try to caution people on that, but there's still that 15%, and a lot can be done in that 15% of bills. So we either try to work with committees to improve upon language before they get out of committee, or improve upon them in the other chamber, or maybe slow them down if it's really problematic. But it's it's a pretty all-encompassing process for my partners that are registered lobbyists and work there in Austin. So
Is it anticipated they'll have a special session after this also?
that's always at the discretion of the governor. I mean, if we have the shenanigans about people skipping town, then I would think yes, because the purpose would be to prevent, probably the whole thing about the school choice, the investment accounts for, funds to be able to go to families to use toward private school as opposed to just public school. I think that's been a real issue for, a number of Democrats, as well as some of the rural Republicans who a lot of their, economy revolves around the school district. So that was a big deal last session. The governor supported primaries against Republicans, which is very unusual to change some of the numbers there. So maybe there's a special session if they do skip town, and that's still a priority to the governor, which it is. But at the end of the day, it's at the governor's discretion by the special session.
Thank God for my TLO. It sure saves a lot of time.
Yeah, it's
To pick your favorite legislation to watch.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions for Ron? All right, moving on, general manager's report.
Okay, good morning. I want to update you on the URP meeting last month. There's a summary of it in the trustee packet. Gave a presentation to the trustees. Continue to meet with Kim and Brad to update them on what went on last month and then kind of talk about next month. So that's going well. Next URP meeting will be this Monday, so I will be there. Did want to report that we do have some ditch work that's going to be beginning across the muds. In particular, we were looking at a spot there behind 33 Spilled Rock Court that has a pipe, 24-inch pipe that's disintegrating, as well as some backfill work adjacent to that as well that we're getting an estimate for. But we did put budget in last year for this year to do some ditch work, and so we'll look to do that under that budget item.
Is that under behind somebody's house? Is it?
Yes. Behind 33 Spilled Rock Court.
I was trying to figure out where that was exactly.
Yeah, there's a 24-inch line that's in bad shape, and then the backslope swell appears to not really be draining very well in that area, near that area.
They're kind of similar to what we had on that Wedgewood Lake that time.
It's the same concept. Wedgewood was more complicated because it's submerged pipe, and we actually finished doing the evaluation of Wedgewood Lake and all the feeders into it last week. And what we found in Wedgewood, a year ago or so, is there's more of it. And so, but it's something that's going to need to be done as a bigger project where we basically lower the lake and tackle all of them at the same time. We didn't have the budget to do that, so we did 2 of them when we lowered the lake last time. But they're pretty much all of the outfalls going into the lake will need to be addressed, probably in a bigger project. But this is a little bit smaller project that I think we can handle.
Did this come to our attention from the homeowners or from?
No, from our
Inspecting,
inspections.
yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, we've been running the ditches over the last several months, and this was one thing that we caught as we went through. Let's see, there was an All Muds meeting a couple weeks ago. The next one will be on May 8th, 6 p.m., Community Center. Also, the trustees requested to have a special meeting and it's been scheduled on next Tuesday, the 22nd, to specifically discuss the parameters around the Corolla report, some of what they heard the first All Muds, and prepping for the next All Muds. And then I think under my report, that's it, but I did put another agenda item that maybe I can cover on 16. But before I do, let's go ahead and have John talk about the comms.
Good morning. Page 51 is your communications report. Right there at the top there, that chart, did want to bring some outcomes from your annual update. You can see there that 56% of your customers receive that mail out. right? And then another 38% read the email. So we had a 74% open rate on the email, but we don't have all of your customers on email. So that's why it's important that we send things out in multiple ways. And, we distributed this through social media as well. All that resulted in a 48% increase in your website traffic. So that's one way to gauge effectiveness. And so for a little over $500, I think that was pretty good bang for your buck. I always want to get those numbers up. Those are good numbers. We did have our third infrastructure renewal community working group session on April 2nd. I'm really encouraged by what I'm seeing there as far as the level of engagement, conversation between the participants, the interest level, and folks really want to take that information out into the community. I think that's going very well. We have our fourth meeting scheduled for May 15th, and that's going to be at the Estuary treatment plant, wastewater treatment plant number 1. So we'll get a tour, and then we'll meet as well on the 15th. Oh, I had that date wrong. Is that 13th? I'll correct that. I apologize. 13th. Following page there, a number of months of asset we bring forward, Water Smart stats. So we'll put this in each month, or at least quarterly. Isn't it? You're not going to see a lot of movement month to month. So maybe we'll do it quarterly. But right now, Mud One, you've got 30% of your commercial accounts are signed up for Water Smart, and 67% of your residential. Both of those are lagging a little bit behind the average. So again, good numbers, but some work to do as well. Increasing Water Smart registration. Our current focus area is water quality, so you'll see that reflected in a lot of our marketing materials currently. On social media, one note for directors. So, definitely encourage you to, whether you're social media folks or not, is, at least drop in every now and then and see what our messaging is all about. And while you're there, follow us and like us, right? So just give us that thumbs up on Facebook, hit the follow button, and that does a lot for helping us increase our reach. It takes 2 seconds. So, that's an easy one there. And then I want to note that we do have a kids art contest that we're running currently through the schools that ends the end of May or middle of May. You can see our last art contest. Some of the entries we've got on the TV out in the lobby. Well, that was really fun. So we're doing that. We're doing it through the schools this round. And then you got your outreach calendar there at the end. I was out at the emergency preparedness event last week hosted by the township. That was excellent. A lot of good conversations. A lot of folks wanted to talk. I'll be at the farmers market this Saturday. Eric's been out and about, and he's got a Rotary Club presentation lined up for the 1st of May. So with that, any questions?
I was very surprised on the rebate chart that you had. Doesn't seem like there's too many people that are involved in trying to get any rebates.
Rebate chart?
Actually, that's in Eric's report. Yes, and we continue. I have a stack on my desk right now, so they're starting to come in. They are. Yeah, I bet I have 15, if not 20 or so on my desk right now. So
I didn't see any from Mud One at all. And even the rest of the muds, seem like a lot of people are taking advantage of that.
we're seeing a lot from 46 and 47. Really, that's where a lot of them are coming in from.
It is definitely part of our rotation on what we message on. In fact, it'll be in this, excuse me, this coming bill ad has our customer support services, which includes rebates. Excuse me. So yeah, got to keep pushing that.
Yes, the email, you say the open rate is 74%. How do you know whether I opened an email or not?
Well, we know.
It's Matt.
We're watching.
Big brother's watching you.
Do you know what time I opened it?
Yes.
Yeah, when we talked about that. Yeah, there's a lot more information available too.
Last thing I had was that just to let you know that we did go live with new billing last month. working through some bugs, but it's going pretty smoothly, smoother than I thought it would. So that's good.
Okay. And everybody needs to check their account numbers, especially if you're utilizing your bank.
Yeah, if you're already, my understanding is if you already signed up for WaterSmart, it's smooth. But if you hadn't up until then, and then you try to, you'll need your new number, which you may not have a document yet to show that right off the bat, but that's smoothing out as well now as the bills went out.
So that it will be on next month's bill, not this month's bill.
What's that?
Will that be on like my April payment this month? It's a
I think-
new number or is it?
The new account numbers went out on the
Yes.
newest bill.
Yeah.
So it's
Latest
on-
bill.
It's on the newest bill,
Okay.
which went out, what, a week or two ago?
Yeah.
And then on 16, there was a question from a MUD or two about this, and so I just put it on all of the MUD's agendas. Just to give everybody a reminder, I've shared this before, but deadline to get an agenda item on these meetings is by the end of the day, Wednesday, week prior. We usually finalize the agendas the next day on Thursday, and then it takes about a half day for us to get all the packets done for all the MUDs. We usually do that Friday so that y'all can have them for Friday afternoon to have them for the weekend. So it's kind of our internal protocol that has been working pretty well, but I think there was some question on that.
Anything else?
That's all I have.
I think I complimented you last time. This is probably the most comprehensive general manager's report and the reports that we've seen. So appreciate it. And
Thank you.
all the information's there.
Let us know if you want to see something new.
I think it's pretty good. Thank you. The trustees report, I think Eric covered most of it. You know, like you said, the next all MUD meeting is May 8th. I'd like to have everybody attend. Yeah, and can you make a comment about the GRP meeting, the comment from the geologists about the aquifer and everything?
Sure. There was, Lone Star brought their geologist professionals with them and had a dialogue with one of the new committeemen, Ben, who's a geologist as well. And so that dialogue has gone on the last 2 months. And one of the things that Lone Star did for sure confirm and acknowledge is that they are planning or are within a prescribed decline of the aquifers. That's something that that is happening, and they're not ignoring it, and I think that. So I would obviously express some concern over that. There was in the presentation that was given, there was some charts that showed how the declining static water level in the aquifer relates to a few different wells across the freeway, 88, 89, kind of on the Rayford corridor. And I asked Lone Star if that same or similar type of graph could be created for the MUDs across Montgomery County, because they permit the MUD, they permit the wells. So they have the information, and they responded that it would be too large of a task. But I think that's something that needs to be done. And what that would do is just identify at the rate of decline that we are heading towards, when does that start hitting the bottom of wells or pumping level of or pump setting of the wells themselves. Does that make sense? Because that's then going to tell us how much time we have, basically, until we have to decommission wells because the static water level has gone too low. So is that 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? I don't know the answer to that. And that's what I'd like to know. So SDRA did do an analysis a couple of years ago that was right along those lines. So I have a copy of that, and I can share that with you all as well, just to kind of give some insight into how that would affect us.
And it's their impression it's our problem, though.
That's the response, is that it's not an aquifer problem, it's an infrastructure problem, that as that reaches the bottom of the well, that's your problem, not the aquifer's problem.
Do they give a rate of decline, rate of loss?
You can just see the trends. Yeah, you can see the trends, and
When, is it 4% range or 8% range? I mean, we're talking about anything.
I don't know that on that.
That'll be your job to tell us next week. Just trying to figure out When I need to drill my own well.
Meanwhile, Conroe's drilling, what, 8 new wells? Magnolia's drilling 2.
I don't know the specific numbers that they're drilling, but yes, they are drilling multiple wells for sure. I would say good news is that for as far as well capacity or water capacity for the Woodlands, 50% of our water comes from surface water. So that makes up a huge deal, obviously, because the wells themselves that were in play were theoretically enough to cover, the Woodlands capacity prior to surface water. So now what you're going to see, and Chris can speak to this, but as some of these older wells start to decline, they will likely be decommissioned strategically in order to kind of get rid of some of the older non-producing wells or less producing wells. And you may see us go in and drill a larger, more productive well, kind of to offset some of the decommissioning. Is that fair?
Yes, sir.
So, but the good news is obviously we still have 50% of our water surface water. So we do have some redundancy there. But I think everybody needs to be reminded that surface water is not guaranteed. So if there were issues at, the surface water plant for some reason, our wells would need to pick up the slack. So we can't just do away with them. They've got to be in play at least to get us through, problem area, drought, heavy drought, things like that. So.
All right, thank you, appreciate it. Item 18, recess and nothing at all. 19, okay, no section. All right, item 20, discuss any future agenda items. Anybody have anything? Nothing at all? All right, item 21, do I have a motion to adjourn? Second? Second. All in favor, say aye. All right. Thank you, everybody, for attending. Appreciate it.
Right.